What's a decision you made for money that you ended up regretting? Stayed in a toxic workplace because the paycheck was too good to walk away from. Ended up sacrificing my mental health before finally quitting. Stayed in an abusive and toxic relationship for years because I couldn't afford to leave him. He had control of my assets. Only managed to get free because he died, hit and run. That's divine intervention. Good for you. I got a master's degree thinking it was an investment in my future. I got a business admin degree and I fucking hate most of people I had to work with in business. They are all corpo scum or Kool-Aid drinkers. Yes, the classic realization that capitalism wasn't built for people with souls. Welcome to the club. Membership includes existential dread and an overpriced LinkedIn subscription. I turned a hobby into a business. This was during the 2008 recession, so jobs were scarce. I started it full-time and then ran it on the side while I had a long-term temp job that paid $11.16 an hour. While it was a necessity at the time, and there was a number of things I enjoyed, monetizing a hobby killed the joy of the hobby. In the last few years, shooting and editing video has finally become fun again. Switching from being an individual contributor programmer to a manager. The money is better, but I love programming so much more than managing people. I just say no, I'm not doing it, and if pressed I tell them I'll stay technical here or I'll do it elsewhere. Ends the conversation pretty quickly. I mentor and assist juniors and help my colleagues all the time, but I will absolutely and unequivocally not take on management duties and manage performance deadlines and leave and all the other drama that comes with dealing with people. Everyone I know who got sucked up the management pipeline hates it. So it's just not happening for me. The company I worked for closed down maybe 20 years ago. I was young and struggling and I really wanted my next job to be something that paid well. I got in with a life insurance investment company, thinking I was smart enough to get through and do that sort of thing. Learned all about stocks, market instruments, got into how everything worked, paid for and took the tests, got my license, and then it was just like, here, call people you know and sell them stuff. Like telemarketing, trying to add a monthly bill to my aunt, uncle, parents, etc. I left for lunch and never went back. I put a whole paycheck on black once, and it landed red. Try again. Odds of guessing wrong twice in a row is only 25%. I majored in accounting for the money stability, but I'm not a numbers person and I dislike accounting in general. Not saving for retirement. Me neither. But I had a blast in my 20s and 30s, and to be honest I'm having a damn good time in my 40s too. So, not that I wanted to, but if society as we know it collapses in the next 5 to 10 years, as it seems to be wanting to, I'll quietly feel somewhat vindicated in the choices of my more youthful years. And if it doesn't, well, I still had a blast. It's funny how I've met so many young people that are like, you aren't guaranteed to dive to retirement, so enjoy it now. And yet I've never met an older person who is glad they did that. Joining the US military. Why is that? Because I was sent overseas to kill poor, brown people for no other reason than to further the political goals of elected officials. I gave 100% of my ability, thinking I'd get promoted. I worked overtime without caring about my health or self-esteem. Back then, people told me I was doing it wrong, but I didn't listen, believing they'd eventually see my hard work. But that promotion never came my way. Instead, I was just reduced to an easily available tool. Wasted 5 years of university being a weed and alcoholic burnout. Wasted nearly all of my savings on weed alone, roughly $500 a month. I was told weed was going to help with my anxiety. It didn't. Only made me more paranoid regardless of strand. Nothing against weed, to be honest, but it does absolutely nothing for me, and my dumbass took 5 years to learn that. Traded that in for an opioid and alcohol addiction, which also didn't help matters. Depression and making poor life choices will hurt you in the long run. I'm 2 years fully sober from everything at 27 and I feel like I'm forever stuck at square one because of the above. I blame myself and no one else. All that wasted money should have gone to lowering my student loan debt. If only. Using $1,000 to buy a car instead of the Apple stock that was being recommended. Car was a junk. About 6 years later I was in line to buy Mass Millions tickets with my last $4, $1 per bet, crossed out last numbers I picked to buy a dollar nip. Crossed out numbers came up exact for $3.8 million payout. I bought a second-hand computer, the seller pressured me to buy it, and I gave in. What happened? Doesn't works at all? It wouldn't run the game I'd bought it for, though the salesman assured me it would. After that, I learned to build my own computer, and from that day on, I'd buy the parts and put them together myself. Marriage. Then why? Racked up my credit cards and cheated on me and left while she was a stay-at-home wife and I worked. Becoming a supervisor. I feel that I did the same. Worked 70 to 80 hours a week for 4 years. Even when I was on vacation, I was working and putting out fires. Never again will I do salary anything unless I can enforce a work-life balance on them and myself. Moving into management. I hated it. I hate managing people. I hated the pettiness and the power games. I hated no longer actually physically doing anything. So I quit and started training in a new job, similar to what I was doing before but different enough to be interesting. Buying a BMW. Do not buy a car, y'all. Worst investment ever. Is this serious? Cars are never an investment. They are a depreciating asset. The only time you might be able to treat a car as an investment is if you buy a likely classic car during its slump, aka when the car is 20 years old, and then keep it for 30 plus years. My friend bought a crashed, non-running 1953 Porsche in 1968. It was basically worthless. $100 from a junkyard. He never fixed it up, just let it sit in a garage for almost 50 years. He sold it 5 to 10 years ago. For about what I paid for my house. Took a job that said, fast-paced environment. Turns out that was code for soul-crushing chaos with no AC. Going to college to get a degree I can't use without job prospects and extra accreditation. I was extremely burned out. Took some time off. I knew I was not ready to return to work, but I became terrified that no one would hire me again if I took off more time. I went back to work and was absolutely miserable. Lots and lots of M. Let me explain. As a motion picture production worker, studio floor level, I've been a gig economy worker for 40 plus years, so since well before anybody started calling it that. My jobs lasted anywhere from 6 weeks to a year and a half, depending on the film TV project. At 50, I wised up and realized I was making myself miserable and suffering serious depression. Like, go see the AP resource, depression, because I had taken an extended series of detestable jobs strictly for the money. And that was because a few years earlier I had realized that I'd fallen somewhat behind on my plan for early retirement. In short, I'd become a moderately desperate money slut, and a very unhappy one at that. When that revelation hit me, I changed my job search job acceptance strategy. I resolved not to worry so much about the money, and instead only to take jobs that A. had a good, enjoyable story to tell, or B. would offer me an opportunity to work with people I knew and liked, or C. would be likely to offer me an enjoyable learning experience. Once I put that filter into place and started declining lucrative but likely to be unpleasant shows, both my career and my chronic depression irritability smoothed right out. And because I undoubtedly became a happier, more pleasant, more cooperative, more enthusiastic and more productive person to work with, I got much better recommendations and references. Soon after, better and more lucrative job offers soon started coming my way, until I was working almost exclusively on high-budget TV series and blockbuster features, which did my retirement account a world of good. In fact, work became so enjoyable that instead of retiring at 61 as planned, I stayed in the groove until just before I turned 67. I've been retired for 4 years now, with many more happy memories than I deserve, and a well-funded RRSP, Canadian equivalent of a Roth. Started a small business young now. I have no skills and am in my 40s and so exhausted. And the money isn't the same as it used to be, but now I'm stuck. Getting a phone on contract. I rent my house, and have struggled to keep it for a couple years. I had a really great girlfriend suggest that I run it as an Airbnb. Seems like a good idea until I found out I needed to set aside money for taxes. And then broke up with her. And now I sleep in my basement when my kid is gone for the weekend so I can keep this roof over her head. It sucks. I have no sanctuary and I'm heartbroken. Bought a house. I bought this starter home in 2015. Thought Thought we'd save couple more years for a bigger upgrade. Then now house is paid off, but I can only afford another slightly nicer starter home. I quit the only job I ever truly loved for one that sounded fairly good. Nonprofit. Making real change on the things I care about. Not as special on the new job, but alright. 40% pay increases. 90 seconds, no joke. After cashing my final paycheck at the old and best job, I get a call from the new job telling me that the position was on hold and to stand by. 3 weeks later, job is 86 ed, old job bridges are burned and I'm on unemployment. Worst sequence ever. Choosing to do HVAC as my career. I'm 23 now and I graduated from HVAC school at 19 but been around the trade my whole life, being my father is an HVAC technician. Now I'm at a point in life where it's repetitive and not enjoyable, as well as the potential to grow within the industry. I feel I've met a dead end at this point and truly don't know where to turn now in life career-wise. Ever thinking I was going to turn a profit with gambling? Also literally anything I've ever tried with crypto. I'd rather my money sit in an account where it takes far longer to go up in value versus an account where it goes up but also goes down. I don't like ever seeing my number go down. What's a decision you made from money that you ended up regretting? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.